And like Michelle says, keep hope alive.
I can already see I'm a ruler in this kingdom. I think if I can control how they feel, I can control how they think. If I can whoop these all-stars, doesn't that mean I'm the best ever?
I'm Russell Hantz, and this is the Russell Hantz Show. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Russell Hantz Show and my player's performance and the Russell Crown. Now, this episode, to me, these two episodes, they weren't as interesting as usual, and I think that's because we're starting to get down in numbers, and it's starting to get obvious what's going on. Well, anyway, it's obvious to me what's going on, and because of that, it's just not as interesting. But nonetheless, it's a great season, and here we go. So we're going to go ahead and go with it. And first, we're going to talk about EOE and what happened there. We have Natalie. Natalie, to me, she's going to be the one that gets into the game. Obviously, she can skip straight to the puzzle at this point. And with Natalie, I did a top 5 who's playing the best 3 different times this season. Earlier in the season, in the middle of the season, and later in the season a few weeks ago. I had Natalie in that top 5 who's playing the best twice. And I think that that's because we see her fighting to stay in the game. I'm glad I've done that, because now it shows that I was correct. She is fighting. She's playing hard. She's trying to get back into the game. To me, harder than anybody there. You would think at EOE that you would know exactly where everything is. If I was there, the first thing I would do is walk, every single day, 24 hours a day. We did hear him say that they lay around all day long. I would be walking around that island taking mental pictures of everything. And I think that's what she's done. She's been walking around that island. She's been noticing things, especially that big, weird-looking rock that she ran straight to that nobody else ran to. Rob runs in the water. Wendell runs uphill. I'm just saying that rock was pretty notable to where one day something might be here. So, you got to walk around that island and look at weird-looking things and say, okay, this could happen. An idol could be here. Something could be here. Something could be here. But it seems like she did that and the rest didn't. She's the only one that ran to that rock, that weird-looking rock. It had a compartment that you can sit something in. It looked like something that'd be great to put something in. And they did. And she knew it. So you got to give her props. I think she's going to get back into the game. Not only that, I think she's going to go to the final 3, because who wouldn't take her to the final 3? At this point in time, you're starting to think, who can you beat? It's the obvious way to think, but I say that, but we're not sure, because we see some things happening to where I think that you can beat Michelle, but then Michelle thinks that everybody's after her. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, yes, I'm giving Natalie respect, even though she's not been in the game. We didn't see, last time they did EOE, we didn't see Chris work like Natalie is working. So, Natalie gets to the end, wins the game. Yes, it's going to be a debate. But is she going to deserve it? You see, there you go. We debate it, but at least there's a debate. With Chris winning EOE after coming back from EOE, a lot of people said he didn't deserve it. With Natalie, if she wins, she's fighting her butt off to get back into this game. So we have to give her respect for that. All right, let's move on. Denise. She acted like she was giving up. Even at tribal council, you hear Adam say, is she really doing that? Is that just an act? What's she doing? Like, he was wondering if she was really gonna just give up. She buys rice with fire tokens when I know she knows. Because I know Tyson's told him what goes down at EOE that you can buy advantages in the challenges. So Denise uses her fire tokens for rice to fill her belly to try to get back into the game with energy instead of actually using her fire tokens for advantages to get further when she gets to EOE, or she thought maybe she was going to further her chances in winning to get back. So I thought it was a weird decision. I don't think it was the right decision. I think that they think she is a threat because Denise has something on her resume. They keep saying she slayed the queen. She slayed the queen. Okay, we get it. But was that really that impressive of a move? The move only worked. 50% of it worked. So yes, it's a big move, but does it give her the resume to win a game for $2 million? Everyone seems to think so. I think if they get to the end, if she's there with, let's say, Ben and Michelle, then yes. She's just riding the pond, obviously. That was obvious this time. She's just riding the pond, hoping to get there with maybe Tony, even though she did say that it's time to get rid of Tony. But she can't beat Sarah. She goes up to Sarah and Ben. Ben's a good choice. But she can't beat Sarah. So to me, it looks like Denise is giving up a little bit. She's not ready to play. And I say it all the time, that people go into that game and they just stop. That's because they're done. And she said it. I'm done. I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore. And we can see that clearly that she gave up mentally. Yes, she did a little talking, but we see it. That's it for Denise. I think she checked out, and I don't think she makes the final three. Okay, now we have Ben. Ben, you can tell he's super paranoid at this time. I don't blame him. It's a paranoid type of game, and Ben has not been playing the greatest game. He's been playing aggressive. He's been not wanting, again, to me, checked out, not wanting to actually talk and do anything. His moves are weird. Like going to Jeremy and telling him to take the 50-50 again from his alliance, which is Michelle, and then going to Michelle and telling her that Jeremy's going to try to take like they're not going to talk about it. That's just a bad gameplay. They're going to talk about it. They're going to. They're in an alliance together in a game for $2 million. His moves are irrational at best. And yes, he's getting further in the game because they have a solid alliance. I think Sarah, Tony, and Ben, I think they had a pregame alliance. I'll go ahead and say it. I think it's obvious. I know Sarah hung out with Ben a lot at Give Kids the World. I think that's when it started. That's how it starts in this game. You go to events and you start seeing people and you talk to them. You say, oh, if this happens, if they ever do an all-winter season, and then when that all-winter season actually happens, when they start calling people, you call them up and then they start talking. Okay, let's work this. Then they get on three-way with Tony. I'll go ahead and talk about Sarah now since I'm talking about that. Sarah had a pregame alliance with Brad Culpepper, Troy Zan. They all went to the house and had dinner and did this and that. You're going to do what you can to win $1 million, and she did. The thing with Sarah is she sticks to her pregame alliance. She stays on that straight line, and it gets her far in the game. Now, her pregame alliance is getting her far again in the game. I don't think Sarah is going to flip on Tony. I think Tony would flip on Sarah. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's already getting close to where they do the fire making challenge, and they got to get rid of Ben before that happens. Because if Ben goes to the fire making challenge, unless you want him in the final 3, he goes to the final 3. But if he's in that fire making challenge against you, Ben probably beats you. So they probably want to get rid of Ben because of that, and we're seeing them talking about that. So that's how they're thinking. That's the direction that they're going. When will they get rid of Ben? Maybe next time? I don't think it will be next time. I think Denise will go next because they're afraid, and they keep saying that she has that one move that they put on her resume that may give her the title of Soul Survivor. With Sarah, she's playing a good game. She's getting further in the game. She's playing strategic. She's not winning any individual immunity. I think that should be added into your list on your resume. She's not winning any of that, but she's staying true to her alliance. I think Sarah stays true to the very end. You have Michelle, and we'll talk about her next, but you have Michelle go up to Sarah and tell her what's going on. This is going on. This is happening. And what does Sarah do? She don't put that in her back pocket. She don't sit there and say, you know what? I can maybe use that later on. So we're going to keep you in the game. And then when that time comes to get rid of Tony, I'm going to take Tony out. And then I win the game. I win $2 million. And that's what happens. That's what would happen. I don't think she does that. I think she stays true to her alliance like she did when she won. And I think that bites her in the butt. She doesn't win Soul Survivor because she does that. That's an honorable way to play. And she's playing a good game. She's playing a solid game. If it was her and Tony at the end of the game, could she beat him? If she did, I would argue the fact that I don't know if it would be called a bitter jury, but it would just be a bad decision. And I would question that. Can she beat everybody else? 100%. Sarah can beat anybody else. It's like Tony's playing just such a greater game than everybody there. The second place person is probably Sarah. And she's way better than everybody. It's like Tony's way better and he should win. If Sarah's there, I think she is way better and she should win. Then now when it comes to Denise, that's probably the next one in the line. Then it comes down to Michelle and then Ben, or Ben and Michelle, whatever, whoever at that point. So I think that Sarah is playing a good game, a solid game. If she takes out Tony, that's it. It's a wrap. She wins $2 million and another title of Soul Survivor. And now the new queen, Sarah. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's talk about Michelle. The first episode, I was like, what is going on? I didn't like the way Michelle was playing. Oh, shoot. I forgot about Nick. Let's put Nick's name down. He wasn't even on the list. You have Michelle, Nick, and Jeremy, right? Trying to stay alive, trying to fight. The first little part of this series, the 2-hour episode, I was like, man, Michelle's just not doing well at all. In the challenge, she looked terrible. I don't think she hit that ball up in that, whatever that was, one time when everybody else was there. She was upset about it. She was frustrated about it, so she cried because she didn't do well. She comes back and she wins the individual immunity, and she was excited, and nobody clapped for her. But I don't think she was in trouble. That's just my opinion. Don't get all crazy on me. Now, again, to be clear, I know nothing about what's going on. This is all opinions. Now, Nick played the worst strategic game this season so far, other than Ben, when he just avoids people and just completely ignores them. because his strategic plan got him voted out. They were telling him, Jeremy got voted out because of Nick. On the way out, Jeremy said, bad move. He was talking to Nick because it was a bad move, because he's not in charge of anything. When he said, quote, I think I'm playing better now than I've ever have. Is that including the time you won? Because I'm not seeing it. The reason he went home is because he voted out Jeremy. Jeremy and Michelle are trying to get something together to get further in the game. If Nick keeps Jeremy and votes out Ben, it puts them in the majority position. It puts them in control of the game. If that happens, everything changes. Everything changes, Nick. But he doesn't do that. And it shows how delusional sometimes they are in the game, because he actually thinks that that was a wonderful move and that he's playing better now than he ever has. So it shows you right there, like, what are they thinking sometimes? It's a hard game. It's super hard out there. You know I give some of them a hard time when I do my players' performance, but I respect all of them except for anybody that quits that game. But I respect every single one of them. And it's super hard, mentally, physically, for them to get to the end of the game, for them to all be there sitting in the final 6, final 5. I respect that. You know, I'm sitting here saying Ben, he's not playing a good game. Michelle, she's not really playing that great of a game. But they're making it to the end of the game. They're there. You got to give them respect for that, and I do. I'm just saying, what's happening now. Did Ben play better than Boston Rob? Obviously. He's sitting in that position. Did he play better than Tyson? You have to say yes, right? If you think of this perspective of how Richard Hatch thinks and how he thinks they should win the game, every single person sitting there right now played better than the one sitting on EOE. That's how some people perceive the game to be. Now, I personally don't think so, but a lot of people think if they're in the final 5, then they played better than every single person that's sitting at Ponderosa or Redemption Island or EOE or whatever you may have. But now we have to talk about the ones that's left. I don't think so. I don't think that Ben played better than Tyson. I don't think so. But you have to... He's there at the end. You got an argument, that's for sure. So we have, Nick's not really... I think he played a terrible hand. I think he didn't do well at all. And I think that's exactly why he went home. You have Jeremy. Jeremy, the way he's been playing, he's been flip-flopping on his alliance, right? He's not been keeping his alliance together for numbers. I knew that would come and bite him in the butt. Obviously, it's going to come and bite you in the butt if you keep letting your alliance slip out of your hands. If you don't fight for your alliance, then you're playing a short game. You're not playing the long game. That's a short game, not making it to the final 3. You're not playing that long game to make it to the final to the final 3, because you're letting your alliances go. You're just going with the flow. That's why if you get to the end that way, it's just like, well, then you will have me speechless. It's hard to get to the end that way without your alliance members, unless you are drugged to the end. Like Michelle. I think Michelle is the one that they have to take to the end. Think about it. Can't take Ben, he's going to beat you at Fire Challenge. There's a problem there. Who else are you going to take? Can't take Sarah. She has a shot to beat Tony. Tony's in control of this. So he has to start thinking, I'm going to take that person coming back from EOE for sure, because I can beat them. Your mindset changes at this time, guys. I'm thinking like I'm on that island with them. If I was Tony, I'm thinking, well, who I take to the end. you take to the end who comes back from AOE. Because essentially, you think they didn't do anything to get to the end. They didn't have to do anything. They sat there at AOE and they did little challenges here and there. You take that person and you take Michelle. She's the one left. Again, you may be able to beat Ben in the game, but can you beat him in the fire making challenge? That's the problem with taking Ben. Because you may end up sitting there doing fire with him and you lose. Now, we are to the end of this episode, and I give my Russell Crown again to Tony. Tony made his spy nest. Tony went up there. He's seen some things happening. Finally, something, even though he heard Denise saying his name, even though he did not vote Denise out, production was able to put that in and make it interesting, make it fun. I don't think the target would have ever been Denise. Yes, they said it, but they say a lot of names all the time. We heard all kind of names thrown around these 2 episodes, and I was clear in my mind who was going to go home. I wrote it down. I wrote the names down. Nick. I wrote Jeremy, and I wrote Nick. About 10 minutes into the episode, to me, it looked clear. And I think it's going to be easy to detect at this point in time who's going to go next. I think who goes next is, and it's definitely out of Denise and Ben, but I think that they're so threatened by the move that Denise make that she goes next. And then, matter of fact, Ben has the immunity. I mean, he has a hidden idol, so I think he uses that. I think Denise goes home, and then they vote him out right before the fire making challenge, and then Sarah goes. Now Tony is playing a amazing game. I think he would be considered one of the greatest players to ever play. If Tony gets voted out next episode, I think that he's still one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Tony's in full control of his alliance. He's staying true to his alliance. He's winning challenges. Obviously, everybody likes him. Nobody's voting for him. Nobody's hardly ever going after him except for Michelle. This first time we see Michelle, which is a great thing, by the way. Great move by Michelle to put that in Sarah's head. I want to go ahead and throw that out there. That was a good move by Michelle to do that. But she didn't convince anybody to do anything. But she did put it in her head. Now, all of a sudden, Sarah's thinking, is that true? Is that going to happen? Is Sarah really thinking that? At one point, Tony was going after Nick. He was going after Michelle. He was going after Denise. He was going after Jeremy. The only people he wasn't... Yeah, and he was going after Ben. So, the only person he wasn't going after these 2 episodes is Sarah. And with him saying everyone's name, you know it's getting back to him. With him, going after everyone, with only Sarah in his back pocket, they still don't say his name on the vote. Tony, I don't know how many times. At this point, Tony's name has never been read at Tribal Council. At this point, I think Tony wins unanimously. I think he went, however many people are sitting over there at EOE, 14 or whatever, I think Tony gets every single one of them's vote if he goes to the end. Was Sarah really confused when Michelle told her Tony can beat you? She was like, yes. Do they all have blinders on and not seeing what's on the side of them, only what's in front of them? That's what they do when horses race. They put blinders on. You know why they do that? You know why they put the blinders on horses like that? So they can't see what's on the side of them. So they only see what's in front of them. And that's how they don't go crazy most of the time. And they take off to that finish line. When you have blinders on and you're not watching out what's going on around you, then you can get backstabbed really easily. You have to take off them blinders. Sarah looks like that she thinks she can beat Tony. She can't. So, take off them blinders, girl. Just get that game going. Because you will win. Sarah wins this game, she takes out Tony. Just Tony, what can you say about Tony? What can you really say? He wins the Russell Crown again. At this point, he's probably going to win all the way through the end. I hate doing that because I want to give other people a little props. But he's dominating the game. He's dominating. Not even close, guys. It's not even close. If you can't see that, then you have blinders on. I was giving Tony hate at the beginning of the season. I didn't want Tony to get further in the game. I thought that because I predicted he would go early. I was like, I want my predictions to kind of be close. I had him going second. Now I have to give him respect, and I give him all the respect in the world. One of the greatest players to ever play the game. He wins the game. He becomes the greatest player to ever win the game. Ever. In the history of Survivor. Period. So, I give credit where credit's due, like I keep saying. Once they do well in the game, I say it. If Boston Rob was sitting at the end, if Sandra was sitting in, shoot. If Sandra was sitting in, I'm like, I will bow down to the queen. If she's sitting at 3 times, yes, 100% I would have. But she didn't. Rob didn't. Parvati didn't. They played terrible. Now we have Tony playing greatness. Amazing game from the beginning to the end. On my list that I did 3 times, I had Tony in that top 5 list all 3 times. So I've been seeing the game solid from day one. And that's it. I got to give it to Tony again. Congratulations, Tony. He's playing an amazing game. All right, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers, trying to hit the 30,000 before the season is over. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. I have right around 27,000. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit that like button. Comment below. Tell me if I'm wrong about Tony. Am I wrong? Is he not playing one of the greatest games in the history of Survivor? Is he not one of the greatest, if not the greatest player? If he wins, he's the greatest player. I don't care what you comment in the section. If he wins, Tony becomes the greatest player. But I appreciate you guys for watching. And like Michelle says, keep hope alive.